So it's Memorial Day weekend, and I'm really disturbed that there's a large segment of our population here that does not believe America is great or America was ever great. And they ask the rhetorical question, well, when was America great? Well, as a military veteran with a YouTube channel, I feel it's my duty to tell them when America was great. So let's start with the War of 1812. We were in war with Britain, and Britain was already furious with us because we beat them in the Revolutionary War. A bunch of farmers and peasants beat the greatest military known to man. That was pretty great. Now it's 1812, and a young lawyer named Francis Scott Keyes boards a British warship outside of Fort McHenry. He was there for a prisoner exchange, so he went down, he talked to the prisoners, told them what he was going to do. These prisoners were chained up, filthy, starving, and they thanked him, and then they thanked God. But then when Francis went back to the captain to negotiate, the captain said, "Francis, this is all academic. By morning, you and all those Americans will be my prisoners." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "Look around." So Francis looks over the ocean, he sees hundreds of British warships. The captain said, "All their cannons are pointed at Fort McHenry." Francis is like, "Captain, you can't do that. There's mostly women and children there." And he's like, "Don't worry, Francis, I gave him a way out. You see over the rampart, that large American flag? I told them if they pull the flag down, we'll stop bombing." So Francis went and told the prisoners, and the prisoners were like, "Oh no." And they started praying that the flag would still stand. So throughout the night, through all the bombing, the prisoners kept yelling to Francis, because he was the only one that wasn't chained up yet, "Francis, is the flag still standing? Francis, is the flag still standing?" And Francis would yell back, "Yes, guys, the flag is still standing." Then at one point of the night, the men said, "Francis, is the flag still standing?" And Francis says, "I don't know. It's too dark. I can't tell." Then by the dawn's early night light, the prisoner said, "Francis, look now. You should be able to see. Is the flag still standing?" And Francis says, "Yes, the flag is still standing." At that point, Francis Scott Keyes says he overheard the captain say to the shipmate, "How is that bloody flag still standing? I had my cannons pointed at that flag all night." So the shipmate looked and said, "Captain, it's being held up by dead Americans." He's like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Apparently, when one American who was holding the flag got killed, another American climbed on top of him to hold the flag up. It was literally being held up by dead Americans. That's why I don't kneel. That's why I stand for the national anthem." And then Francis Scott Keyes said, after he heard this conversation of the captain and the shipmate, the words of George Washington came to his mind. And he remembers hearing George Washington say, "The Christian American would rather die on his back than live on his knees." I think that was pretty great. That was a pretty great time in our country. And America is great because America is exceptional. That's another word these people don't want to use. I guess they think we're saying we're better than other people, and we're not. America is, always has been, and always will be a melting pot of different races and different nationalities. What makes America great is our system of governance. It was the first time in history that a country said, we're not going to have kings, we're not going to have rulers. It's going to be ruled by the people, for the people, of the people. And the laws are going to be based on the belief that our rights are given to us by God, not by any government, not by any king. So no government or no king can ever take our rights away, because they never gave them to us in the first place. And this experiment was a success. Everyone thought we would fail. The whole world was watching and waiting for us to fail. This experiment of being ruled by the people, and the people decided that a free market and capitalism would be the best way for prosperity. We became the most prosperous nation ever, the richest nation ever, in a very short amount of time. See, before America existed, most people lived in poverty. Unless you were part of royalty, you lived a horrible life of poverty, filth, hunger, starvation. America changed all that. They lifted more people out of poverty than any country in the world. America was great. And you say, my liberal friend may say, "Well, what about slavery? That wasn't great." No, slavery was an evil of humanity. from the beginning of time. My liberal friends seem to think it was only an evil of America, but that was the way of life. It was just normal. The word slave actually derived from the word Slav, because there were so many Slavs that were enslaved, millions of them, and they were white Europeans. In fact, at the time that American slavery was legal, there were more slaves, according to historians, in India than the entire Western Hemisphere combined. China had more slaves, Chinese people enslaving Chinese people. So this was an evil, this was horrible, but it was an evil of humanity. It was just the normal way of life from the beginning of time. What was not normal was for someone to say, if slavery is not bad, then nothing is bad. And that was said by Abraham Lincoln. That surprised the whole world, that a leader of a country would say slavery was bad. What else was unusual was for a country to go to war to free the slaves. 340,000 northern troops died freeing the slaves. Jesus said there's no greater love than this, than a man lay down his life for a friend. 343,000 Americans laid down their lives to free the slaves. Another time America was great. 9/11, think about that. We were attacked because these people hated our freedom. That's why they attacked us. They hated that we were free to worship any God we wanted. They hated our freedom of speech, that we could say whatever we wanted, even if it offended somebody. That a blue-collar guy like me could get on a YouTube channel and say whatever he wants to the entire world. They hated that. They hated the idea that we didn't behead homosexuals. We didn't behead adulterers. We let our women walk around free and drive cars. I mean, they hate our freedom. That's why they attacked us. And what they meant for evil was used for good. Because even though it was so evil and so many people died, and it was one of the worst days in American history, that next day, the American people, the goodness of their heart, came together and helped each other. 9/12, there was no Democrat, no Republican, no black and white. We were all Americans. We were all looking out for each other. There was 343 firemen that ran up those stairs to their death. Again, there's no greater love than this, that a man lay down his life for a friend. About 100 cops also died on that day, and many more are dying from the fumes that they inhaled. And all the Americans that came around that helped looking for the survivors, the New York Giants who ran on the field, the next game they played with American flags, they thought they were going to hurt us. They made us stronger, because the American people are good. And in fact, in the 1800s, the whole world knew America was great. So a French philosopher, Alexis Tocqueville, I think you say his name, but this French historian came to America to see what made America great. And he said this: America is great because America is good. If America ceases to be good, America will cease to be great. And many of my friends might say, oh, America's not good anymore. Well, what about just a few years ago, we elected the first black president. In a majority white nation, we elected a black president twice. And the only arguments were against his policies. You know, we argued, was he too liberal? Was he a socialist? His skin color never came up. Just like he didn't bring up John McCain's skin color. It was all about policy. And I truly believe if he was a black conservative, he would have still won. It would have just been a different population of the country would have voted for him. Some people vote conservative, some people vote liberal. So, America is great because America is good. And we're an exceptional nation. And just remember that this Memorial Day, that we have all these freedoms because of brave men and women died for us. God bless.